Hey, so my name's Braden and I'm with Overland Outfitters, and today I just wanted to make a quick video about the blog I wrote about the myths of lifting an IFS vehicle. So to demonstrate, we have a stock strut here, and then we'll be putting in an aftermarket strut, both without the coil, just so we can cycle the travel completely and just show that the travel doesn't really change despite changing your strut. And then we'll probably put a wheel on and see what it looks like with the wheel as well. Okay, so this is with the stock strut, fully drooped out, and I'm gonna measure from, there's like a little greasy spot at the top here, so I'm gonna measure from that spot to the top of the wheel spacer here. So we're at 22¼ inches, fully drooped out on the stock strut. Fully bumped. Okay, so measuring from the same spot now, we're at 15¼ so that would be 7 inches of travel from the factory with the stock strut. So now we'll throw in the aftermarket strut and see what happens. Okay, so now, as you can see, we have the Bilstein 6112 strut in here. This is probably our most recommended bang for buck kind of strut. So with that in here, you actually do gain some travel. So from the same spot, we're coming down to 23¼ and if you remember at stock, we're at 22¼ so you actually gain an inch of down travel with everything else being the same, which is actually a pretty nice upgrade. Okay, so I'm just gonna bump this out. It should max out in the exact same spot as it did stock, because we still have the same stock bump stop limiting the up travel. There we go. I'm measuring from the same spot. Yeah, we're at the exact same 15¼ That actually gives us an inch more travel over stock, which is pretty great. Put the tire on? I guess we'll put the tire on. Okay, so we got the wheel on, still with the stock strut, and this is set at ride height. We measured it before when the truck was on the ground. So at ride height here, I'm just gonna measure from this fender to the top of the tire just to make it easy. So we're sitting at 5 inches of clearance there at ride height. So if I fully bump it out, let's watch the bumps up here. So at full bump, we're at 1.5 inches of clearance there. And then I'll fully drop it out. So at full drop out, we're at 9 inches. So we end up with 3.5 inches of up travel from ride height and 4 inches of down travel at ride height. So it sits roughly right in the middle of the travel stock. At the stock ride height, from the tire to the firewall, which is where most people are trying to get the most clearance to get bigger tires in there, we have 3.5 inches of clearance kind of all the way through. So 3.5 inches of clearance at the back here at stock ride height. Okay, so now we have the tire back on with the Bilstein strut in, and we've set it to what most people would lift their vehicle to, so around 2 inches. So you can see here we're at 7 inches from the tire to the fender. Clearance here at the back, you know, we're at like 4 inches now because of the lift. But as soon as we have any up travel, we're gonna end up in the exact same spot as we did with the OEM strut in. So here we are fully bumped out with the Bilstein strut, and you can see that we're still at the exact same spot as we were, 1.5 inches with the stock strut. You can see here that once again we're at 3.5 inches of clearance at the back. So a lot of people seem to think that when you put a lift in, you can clear bigger tires, but the reality is that throughout the range of the motion of your tire, that clearance doesn't actually change. So you can put bigger tires on, but you're still gonna have to clearance the same amount, like take out plastic and metal from here and from here for a bigger tire, whether you run stock suspension or a lift. So what does the lift actually do for you? It's going to give you the ability to clear larger tires at ride height. So if you're just driving around on the street, then you will be able to fit a larger tire, and you might rub once in a while here and there, but for the most part, if you're just staying on the cement, you're gonna be totally fine with a bit of a bigger tire. But as soon as you go off-road and start cycling your full suspension travel, you're gonna be rubbing in all the same places as you would with stock suspension. Lift does give you a little bit more clearance, especially on IFS. It's gonna give you more clearance at the center of the vehicle. So because your arms are like this, if your tires are here, your arms are like this, the more you lift, the more clearance you have right in the middle there. But it doesn't change your total amount of clearance because your axle will still be in the same spot. So that's why bigger tires are the only real way to get the most clearance. I will give you a little bit more breakover angle, a little more approach angle. It'll give you a little bit here and there, but it's not gonna perform quite as good just because you've lost an inch of down travel. Okay, so now we have my spare off my truck. It's a 35, well, it's a 315/75 R16, and it's pretty worn out. So maybe more like a 34, but 35 spare. And as you can see, the clearance here is gonna be the exact same. So we're at like 2.5 inches of clearance in the back there now. But as soon as you turn, it's gonna hit that firewall. So that's basically full stuff with a 35, and if I went any higher, it would start contacting up here. It's already contacting in the front. And if you're actually off-road, everything flexes a little bit, so it's gonna come up. I know on my truck, I hit the top of the wheel well quite often. The only way, no matter what suspension you're running, to clear a big tire is to either limit your travel by extending your bump stop, which I don't consider actually clearing a big tire, that's just cheating. And it's gonna have a bad overall effect on your performance because you're taking your 8 inches of travel and now making it back down to 7. And I just don't understand why you'd wanna do that. So the only way to properly clearance is to start cutting, basically. That's one of the big myths I've seen online is most people aren't going to a 35, but even with a 33, oh, can I fit a 33 with a 2-inch lift or a 3-inch lift? And the reality is, sure, you can fit it at ride height on the street, but as soon as you go off-road, you won't be able to fit it just the same as you wouldn't be able to fit it with your stock suspension. Hopefully this video was helpful. We tried to demonstrate the myths of lifting an IFS vehicle as best as we could. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. If this video was helpful at all, we'd love it if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel, that'd be great, really cool. We're gonna try and come out with a lot more videos that are informational, a lot more just fun videos of trips and stuff. You know, we just wanna try and be a helpful YouTube channel. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Peace.